Mic check one, mic check one.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for attending. We're calling the meeting for the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, November 21st, 2024, to order. We'll ask everyone to silence your phones, and if you have to have a conversation, please step outside. We've got a pretty robust agenda. We'll start with everyone introducing themselves on the dais.
Christy Reschel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, Commissioner.
Good afternoon. I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
Patrick Dressing, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
And I'm Hamilton County Commission Board President Alicia Reese. We start every meeting with silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. Amen.
Man.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second?
Commissioner Reese.
Yes,
Commissioner Driehaus.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
thank you. We have a special proclamation honoring one of our own, Joe Feldkamp. Okay. Proclamation honoring Joe Feldkamp upon his retirement in Hamilton County. Whereas after 40 years of public service, Joe Feldkamp has announced his retirement from Hamilton County. And whereas prior to his tenure with Hamilton County, Joe served in various positions for the village of Marymount from 1985 to 1989 and the city of Blue Ash from 1989 to 2000.
And whereas since 2000, Joe has played a pivotal role in the successful operation of numerous county facilities, including Paycor Stadium, Great American Ballpark, and the newly constructed West End and Finley garages. And whereas Joe has been instrumental in the implementation of innovative projects such as the Great American Ballpark seat replacement project and various energy conservation efforts, all of which resulted in significant cost savings for the county.
And whereas Joe and his team have been responsible for working magic to ensure the seamless coordination of all the complex parking agreements on the banks, and whereas Joe has consistently gone above and beyond the call of duty, including missions at all hours of the night to ensure the goals of the county and its residents are met.
Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners do hereby honor Joe Feldkamp for his outstanding service and dedication to Hamilton County and wish him a long, happy, and fulfilling retirement. Before you have your remarks, you can come on up. You're on TV. Come on up. You're the honoree. I'm going to open it up to the commissioners and then to Mr. Aludo. I'm sure will want to say something as well. Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for being here for this recognition. I see that you've brought your team and your family, so welcome to all of you for the special occasion. So, we rely on Joe to manage what is a pretty complicated fund, which is the parking fund, and try to get it right when it comes to all the parking facilities that we have had and have newly created in Hamilton County. And so I've just been very grateful for the relationship that you and I have had personally and what you've done for this county. It's not easy being the guy in charge of parking in Hamilton County. There are a lot of pressures against rates and facilities themselves and where they go and all the rest of it. So you've been such an asset to this county after all these years. And so thank you so much for your service. And I know you are going to enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner Dumas.
Go, Joe. What I love about Joe is just he's the strong, silent type. And so we can go on and on and on in the executive session or even in here. And I said, Joe, you have to get that? And he'll just give a solution that we never even thought of. And it's so succinct and to the point. And you don't fuss with anybody. You either follow, what I think is the best, or you go the wrong way. But I appreciate you, Joe. And I certainly will miss you. I haven't known you as long as probably Denise, but you have made an impact on my tenure here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think the person that's smiling the hardest is your wife on retirement.
Maybe in another month or
She's got other assignments for you though around the house. So
yeah.
you're not gonna get off that easy. Well, let me just say, in the short time that I had a chance to get to know you, one is we're losing a wealth of knowledge that you have. You've been with the garages before the garages were even built, from concept to completion, and then obviously operating those, the complexities of being at the bingo and the Reds facilities. And as we say, we're the landlord, you were there on site as the eyes and ears. What I do appreciate also in our time is that the strength to stand up for what's right, even though it might not have been as popular with the folks that you're dealing with, because these are, high-powered people, but you say, hey, the taxpayers come first. And I really appreciated working with you with that strength to be able to tell some people no that have maybe not heard no before, and then be able to also, when we ask, how does this all play out? It does. I know there's been some exciting times over this long tenure. In our short tenure, I would say the Taylor Swift, you could add that to your list of fun things. How do you deal with the parking and the logistics and all those kind of things? So I just want to say congratulations on your retirement. You will definitely be missed. Your wealth of knowledge, your strength and understanding, and your ability to say we've got to stand up for the taxpayers first. And I really appreciate that. Mr. Aludo.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners. You all really said it all, but I'm going to pile on here. I remember when I was appointed county administrator in 2016, and Joe and I had known each other for a long time before that, but it was the first time that I was really getting involved with the parking issues, the stadium issues, et cetera. And it was one aspect of the county I had not had a whole lot of involvement in. So Joe and I were having one of our first meetings, and I just remember, Joe probably remember what the issue was. I can't. But, I was panicking a little bit about it, and I was like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? I was probably getting very close to maybe micromanaging a little bit. And I just remember at one point Joe saying, hey, Jeff, I got this. I got it. And I'm like, all right, man, I trust you. And he does. I mean, he, in every aspect of what he does, I think if you were to literally look up the definition of public servant and the type of public servant that the taxpayers of this county would want to see, it's going to have Joe Feldkamp's picture there, because he, literally, it sounds cliche, but Joe is the type of person that when he's running an operation, he treats those dollars as if they are his dollars. Mm-hmm. And the number of things that he has done, he and his team, to make sure that the taxpayer is getting value for their money. We could talk for hours about efficiency projects and travels to other stadiums and all the little things that Joe and his team have done to make sure that we are doing this in the most cost-effective way we possibly can, while maintaining these assets in a first-class way. So I just want to thank Joe and wish him the best in his retirement. He has been an absolute pleasure to work with, and he, as you said, Commissioner, he's going to be sorely missed.
Yes, we won't be able to say, where the hell is Joe Feldkamp on this? Get me Joe Feldkamp. What are we doing?
Right.
The floor is yours.
Oh, gosh, I won't keep it. But, after everybody has spoken, it's like, can I have my job back? I don't know if I want to retire.
You can. Yes.
Let's vote on it.
Hasn't been posted yet.
Right. But no, it's funny. Some of the things that came to mind as I was preparing for today, it's been hit on already. Going back to Marymount and Blue Ash, and we said the Pledge of Allegiance this afternoon, and I thought of my pledge to myself was that I wanted to make sure that I pledged to the taxpayers that we were good stewards of the funding that they provide. And I I think I did pretty well in all of those positions for 39, 40 years. I think I can honestly say that I've done that. That was the first thing in my mind whenever I attacked any project, was what's best for the taxpayers. And I know you guys do the same thing up here, but that is certainly what has driven me through those years. And you snuck in the proclamation one of my favorite projects, which was the seat renovation at Great American Ballpark. I don't know if Jim will agree with me, but it was one of my favorite projects in my 40 years. I mean, to come up with a solution that was $5 million when I inherited it, and we did it for $1.2 million, was just phenomenal. And in doing that, I got to work with so many departments, and it was at a department directors meeting, Jeff, that, everything started clicking in my mind. Once I, got the molds for the seats, and then I had to find the plastic manufacturer, and we did that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to install all these seats? And, Trina was at a meeting and said, we've got the reentry program. I'm like, maybe we could do something with that. But anyway, great project, great success, and probably my most proud project. So really that's all. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that none of this was accomplished without these folks right here. I mean, bar none. We have a group of 7 people, if you can believe it, of all the responsibilities that we have, just 7 people make that happen. And from Jim to Joe Paul, Melissa, Michael, Delana, just fantastic people, a great team that I could depend on. And when I needed them at any hour of the day, they were there. And that's what helped me succeed. So I want to really thank them. And really, that's it. It's been my pleasure. When I took the job 24 years ago, we talked about Great American Ballpark, and we were still in Riverfront Stadium, and Paycor, Paul Brown Stadium, and I was able to put together my love of sports with my experience at Xavier University and my business management degree, and put those two things together my last 24 years, and it was just like a match made in heaven. And I really enjoyed my job. So thank you all for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to come around and take a photo.
Okay.
Okay, it is, we have several speakers. It's 1:15. Need to ask you about our public hearing. Do we have to go into it?
Yeah, I think
Comments
you
first?
typically still want to start it before 1:15, but I think if the public hearing starts later, that's fine.
Fine. Okay, so we're going to go to the comments first. Okay, thank you. All right.
He doesn't have to stay. He doesn't have to stay.
Yes, you all don't have to stay. We love for you to stay. I know you want to go celebrate. Joe wants to stay, I know. Yeah.
Oh,
We
goodness.
do have an exciting meeting.
Yeah.
But if you have to go, we understand. Okay, our first speaker is Jason. And if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I don't have my glasses today. Jason Kunkel, is that right? Jason. I should have it.
It's a lot of pressure to be first here. Just want to say good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Jason Kunkel. I'm a local realtor and homeowner here in Eastern Hamilton County, and I'm here today to urge you to honor a promise made to Hamilton County homeowners over 25 years ago that they would benefit from rebates when allowed. Today, that promise is more critical than ever. Recent appraisal valuations have reached historic highs, placing an unprecedented financial burden on homeowners. And that's especially true for some of the most vulnerable in our community, such as seniors, single-income families, veterans, and first-time home buyers. And I feel that this rebate should be a top priority because it's not just about keeping the promise, but it's about keeping people in their homes. Failure to act risks the displacement of these vulnerable communities and populations at a time when housing affordability is already at a historic low. So I just wanted to urge you to make this a priority this year and give us the highest rebate possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Maura Black.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Mara Black, and I'm a realtor and a homeowner in Western Hamilton County. I work with families across Hamilton County every day. I'm here because we need your help and leadership to approve the highest possible property tax rebate this year. Over 25 years ago, this county made a promise to homeowners, a promise of relief when the time came. That time is now. Recent property appraisals have soared to levels we've never seen before, and next year, many of our residents will face extraordinary tax bills. This isn't just about numbers on paper, it's about people. Seniors who have lived in their homes for decades, single parents stretching every dollar, veterans who have served our country, and first-time homebuyers who are trying to build a future. We know the county has financial obligations, and meeting those is essential. But after that, the rebate must be the priority. Without it, we risk displacing those who are already struggling to stay in their homes. If there's ever been a year to act boldly, it's this one. Let's keep our neighbors in their homes and our community strong. Thank you for considering this critical step forward.
Thank you. Next is Stephanie, is it Mose? Correct me when you get up there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Reese, commissioners. I am Stephanie Mose, attorney with Legal Aid Society of Southwest Ohio. And really, we're here on something that's not on the agenda, but ties very nicely with what you just heard from the prior two public comment speakers. We represent homeowners facing foreclosure, who are right now at risk of losing their homes. And this commission, this county, has done a remarkable job since the pandemic evaluating mortgage and property tax assistance. Today, I am here to ask that with the ARPA reallocation, additional monies be set aside for additional property tax and mortgage assistance. Homeowners continue to struggle. They're struggling today, not just next year, but property taxes have hit very, very hard. And it has hit very hard for those who are most vulnerable in our communities. Mortgage affordability is really at an all-time low for many homeowners, and it's very hard for both veterans, seniors, folks with disabilities, and with communities that were most hard hit by the property tax valuation in some of our Black minority communities. Our hope is that some of that ARPA reallocation can continue the great work that the county has already done to provide mortgage assistance and property tax assistance. I'm here today with Community Action Agency, who, along with Job and Family Services throughout the pandemic years, has administered property tax and mortgage assistance. We believe that they continue to play a very vital role to being there for homeowners who are struggling yet today with interest rates at all-time highs, property taxes extraordinarily high with the last revaluation. There is a need for continued support for our homeowners, and we ask the commission to do that as we look at the reallocation of the ARPA dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Strauss.
I'm also speaking on the reallocation of ARPA dollars. I'm here from the Community Action Agency. During the pandemic, CAA oversaw over $7 million in mortgage and property tax assistance, keeping almost 1,000 clients in their homes across Hamilton County, 2/3 of them outside of the city limits. With this money, we helped seniors, the disabled, multi-generational households, immigrants, the terminally ill, and families trying to hold on to their first homes. Homeowners at greatest risk are seniors and Black families. Generational wealth is being lost right after a brief period of gains in closing the home ownership gap facing Black Americans. There's almost no money left in the county to help homeowners, and what is left is only within the city. Requests for assistance are up again with loss of this funding, and amounts are up again with the loss of this funding, and amounts that people are in need of are increasing. CAA has the staff, the knowledge, and the experience to efficiently and effectively reach homeowners throughout the county. So let us help Hamilton County families to stay in their homes. It's good for them and it's good for the county.
Thank you. Jesse Heiser.
Hello, I lead a small group of organizers through Cincinnati Undivided, and we work to bring racial healing, solidarity, and justice. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today about the critical need for funding homelessness prevention efforts in Hamilton County. Specifically, I'd like to highlight the outstanding work of Strategies to End Homelessness and the transformative impact of their prevention programs. Homelessness prevention isn't just a compassionate choice, it's a smart, cost-effective strategy that benefits our entire community. When we focus on keeping individuals and families housed, we reduce the need for emergency shelters, lower the risk of long-term homelessness, and improve overall community stability. Prevention saves taxpayer dollars while providing vulnerable residents with the security they need to thrive. Strategies to End Homelessness stands out as a leader in this work. Their shelter diversion program helps people facing housing crises find immediate solutions without resorting to shelters. This approach is a lifeline for families and individuals, preserving their stability and allowing our shelters to focus on those with no alternatives. Additionally, their use of preventative data analysis is a game changer. By identifying the factors that lead to housing instability and analyzing trends, they can ensure that our resources are used efficiently and targeted where they'll have the greatest impact before someone ends up living on the street. And this kind of forward-thinking innovation makes a lasting difference, addressing not just the symptoms of homelessness, but the root causes. Supporting Strategies to End Homelessness is an investment in Hamilton County's future, and I urge you to allocate funding to expand their efforts, especially their shelter diversion and data-driven prevention programs. These initiatives are critical for reducing homelessness and building a stronger, more resilient community for everyone. Thank you for your leadership and recognizing the importance of homeless prevention and creating a brighter future for Hamilton County.
Thank you. Sharon Smith.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I am also part of Cincinnati Undivided that Jesse just spoke about. I'm here today as a concerned resident of Hamilton County to speak about the vital importance of homelessness prevention and the incredible value that Strategies to End Homelessness brings to our community. Homelessness is a pressing issue that affects not only individuals and families, but also the health, safety, and economy of our entire community. Preventing homelessness before it begins is one of the most effective ways to address this crisis. By investing in prevention, we can reduce the need for costly emergency responses, decrease the strain on shelters, and ensure more stable outcomes for those at risk. Strategies to End Homelessness is working hard in this effort, particularly through their shelter diversion program and their use of innovative data analysis tools. Their shelter diversion program is a proactive approach that works with individuals and families to identify immediate, practical solutions that keep them housed and avoid shelter entry altogether. This not only preserves the dignity and stability of those at risk, but also ensures that our limited shelter capacity is available for those with no other options. Furthermore, their data-driven approach is critical for long-term success.
Through preventive data analysis, strategies to end homelessness can target people pre-eviction and proactively reach out to them for support to keep them in their homes. This kind of foresight saves money, time, and most importantly, lives. I urge the commissioners to grant funding to strategies to end homelessness so they can expand this essential work. Supporting their shelter diversion efforts and preventative tools is not just an investment in programs, it's an investment in people and families and in the future of Hamilton County. Thank you for your time and your commitment to making homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring in our community.
Thank you very much. Sandra Jones-Mitchell.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you and congratulations on your reelection. I'm here as an advocate with serving older adults to changing times, and I get calls from all over the county with our seniors frightened to death about losing their homes because of the property taxes, the sewer bill, the water bill. And we have to do a better job in making sure that they have the information they need to prevent some of it. Right now, they don't have the income to pay the increased costs. So we got to figure out another way to help them save money as they want to age in place in their homes. I heard a lot of folks talking about seniors wanting to stay in their homes. They really do. Now we got to figure out a way to make them a little bit more accessible so they can stay in their home. I know that PWC, Council on Aging, other folks come down here. However, if you hear from the seniors themselves, you'll know that their waiting list is very long. And we want to make sure that we help our seniors stay in their homes. And the only way we can do that if you allow them to not pay as much in taxes, the sewer bill, the water bill, all of these bills, I'm telling you, it's choking these guys to death. And so please, as we continue to age ourselves, we want to be better prepared to help our seniors that are aging now to age well in their homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty Hoff.
I am a CRA lender, in other words, affordable, moderate, low to income with a bank locally. I've been in it for over 25 years, so I can tell you firsthand how the property taxes affect individuals. I get the calls when people are in foreclosure to see if they can refinance or get cash out. I get the calls when they can't afford to live where they're at and they've got to buy a home, but there's no inventory out there. This affects their pocketbooks today. I don't know how many of you have been in the grocery store lately and been behind somebody that was either putting food back or just literally walked away because they couldn't afford to pay for their groceries. You know, $100 to one of us may not be that much, but to individuals on low to moderate income, it's a lot. And what I deal with a lot is the qualifying ratios for individuals refinancing or buying a home. And the taxes in Hamilton County are just, they're killing those applicants. There's a difference between Hamilton, Warren, Butler, and Claremont County and the counties in Northern Kentucky that affects a home price by almost $30,000. That's the difference in the qualifying for the same income. So we really have to work together to do something to get these funds back to the people who really need them. Because home ownership is the biggest wealth creator there is. And we need to provide that to low and moderate income families. So that's kind of my take. Tax abatements would be great if they last at least 3 years, then they do not have to go into debt to income ratios. So just a thought.
Thank you very much. Nick Burkwine.
Thank you, Commissioners, for hearing me today. I'd also like to thank Bridget Doherty and Anson Turley for providing me and my wife with information, allowing me to make this presentation. My name is Nick Burkwine. I live down the street from the current Hamilton County Sheriff's gun range. I have lived in West Coleraine for most of my life, and I've owned a home near the gun range for about 8 years. I'm here to speak with you about the project to expand it into the regional safety complex. For those that don't know, the complex is intended to or expected to cost $32 million. It includes expansion to 66 shooting lanes, facilities for law enforcement driving training, shoot houses for designed for teaching and learning close quarter combat skills, like room clearing and hallway navigation, canine training, sniper rifle training, and if I'm understanding the proposal correctly, bomb disposal training. I represent a growing group of residents who are just learning about this project, and we're very upset for three main reasons. One, that we feel like we did not have fair and reasonable notification of this project. Two, that that we are a residential community and feel like we've been misrepresented as a rural community. There's over 2,000 people that live within a mile of the gun range. And the change in size and magnitude of the facility from the current facility to the what's planned. From our point of view, the project and our notification of it have been handled very poorly. If we're going to be neighbors, we'd like to start on the right foot, and this is not an auspicious start. We're not unreasonable. We know that large projects can't just turn on a dime. But in its current form, we find the current project to be unacceptable to us. There are several versions of this project that we would find acceptable, and we'd like to work together to come to an amicable end where we can all come out as winners for it. Is that the end of my time?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have something written, you can give it to the clerk.
Okay. Yeah, I've got copies for everybody here.
Thank you. Okay. We have two other speakers for the public hearing, but I'd like to advance, if that's okay, with my colleagues, I'd like to advance the property tax item on the by leave, which is by leave 4 and 5. And I'd like Mr. Aludo to give some context.
Thank you, Commissioners. Happy to do that. So, as the board's aware, and as was indicated in some of the public comments, 1996, the voters approved a half-cent sales tax for 2 stadia on the riverfront. As a part of that pitch to voters, there was the concept of propose to rebate 30% of the sales tax collections to residential homeowners of the county as a part of the overall sales tax collection. That pledge was kept for several years until sales tax growth no longer supported a full 30% PTR, given the other legal obligations of the fund, debt service, stadium operations and capital, pilot payments, Cincinnati Public Schools, et cetera. Since then, and I'm going rapidly through a lot of history here, Commissioners, just in the interest of time, but since then we have modulated between full 30% PTRs and smaller levels necessary to maintain the financial viability of the fund. A couple years ago, the administration had proposed a formula designed to that would formulaically come up with a property tax rebate level with the ultimate desire to keep a reserve balance of a certain level. And that was the basis for the administration's recommendation this year of an 18.8% PTR, which would come at a cost of $19.8 million. Since that point in time, the members of the board have asked that we bring forward another resolution, which is on your agenda, I believe it's by leave item 5, which is a full 30% PTR. It comes at a cost of $31.4 million, and yes, 30% is $31.4 million. Just for context, the 18.8% administrative recommendation is valued at a benefit of $67.50 per $100,000 home value. The 30% is $106.97 per $100,000 in home value. So those are the two items that are on your agenda today. I believe they're by leaves 4 and 5, Commissioner. Happy to answer any other additional questions, but just wanted to provide that succinct overview.
Thank you very much. I'll start up and then I'll open up to the colleagues. I want to thank everyone that has come forward today and has sent emails, and all of the residents that I've had a chance to talk with over the course of the year about the property taxes. It wasn't too long ago in January when the bill was due that this place was packed with people saying, wait 1 minute, we can't afford this. Now, we don't control the reevaluation strategies and policies. That's at the state level. but there are some things that we can do. And so when I was first elected, one of the things I was very adamant about was we have kept all promises from 1997, May 29th of 1997, that was made regarding the two stadiums. When we get to the stadiums, we can't say we don't have it. It's in the lease. When we get to the stadiums, we say we can't do it. We don't say that. We say that they have a contract, and it's not a great contract on behalf of the taxpayers, but it has a contract and it has to be honored. But when it comes to the rollback, unfortunately, they did a marketing scheme where they marketed to people to get them to vote for this, homeowners, by telling homeowners, we're going to give you a 30% rollback. Now, of course, none of us was here, but none of us was here for this either. And every time I look up, we have to fix this, pay for this, expand this, because we say it's in the contract. The contract does state a rollback, but it doesn't say the amount. And so it was highly advertised, and many people went out, homeowners voted for this because they thought they were going to get 30%. And so for me, it's hard to say no to the taxpayers and homeowners and yes to professional teams because they have a contract that's paid for by the taxpayers. I was happy that we were able to get a full rollback for the 2022 tax season. And I vowed that I would present 30% every single year. We have to vote on it each year before December the 1st. So that's why we're taking it up now. At a time right now, when we look at the economy, the number one issue in this election was the economy. People said, wait a minute. You go to Kroger's or you go to Meijer's and eggs and bacon is jumping out of the cart. You can't afford it. You go to your Duke Energy bill and that's jumping out the gym. You can't hardly afford to keep your lights on. Everything is going up, and then property taxes have jumped through the roof. We have said that our issue is we want to make sure we have affordable housing. But affordable housing is not new housing. It's also helping people stay in the house they already have. And so senior citizens are on fixed income. We don't know what the future is going to be with Social Security checks, but we're going into an unknown territory. And so for me, any type of break we can give to the homeowner or the taxpayers, I'm ready to do it. When we have big projects, we seem to find funds creatively that are always available. I believe that there are funds that I'm not going to say how to fund it because the administrator will come up with that. But we've got one commissioner has talked about the ARPA, and they may bring that up today. If that doesn't work, we also have another fund that we're utilizing that we've got interest rates. We've got $40 million. It's a one-time thing, but we vote on this every year. So put the one time with the one time, and we'll deal with the next time when we have the next time. So I think it would be irresponsible to go in, we're getting ready to go into negotiations, to go in and honor this contract, but don't honor the promise made to the homeowners. And so I want Hamilton County to be affordable for new people who need housing, whether it's homeownership, whether it's rental, but I also want grandma to be able to hold on to her house and grandpa to hold on to his house. And a middle-class working family that can't get a break, hold on to their house in this very rocky road and rocky times. And so I believe that we have to honor it. We've got to be just as creative whenever they come back in this lease and say, you got to pay for this and you got to pay for that. I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars. We just did $39 million this time last year. So I am 150% to give the full 30%. And obviously some people say, oh, it's not that much money and everything. $30, I can get a turkey. $30, I can buy some Pampers. whatever break we can. And think of all the years, if you add it up, that we didn't give the 30%. You add that up, that's millions and millions of dollars that was owed to the homeowners that they never got a break. So we say it's just a little here and a little there. Look at all these years we didn't do 30%, that you were supposed to get 30% and you didn't get it. And we held on to it. That's millions of dollars that were supposed to go back to the homeowners. And I'm saying, yes, you'll say we wasn't here, but I wasn't here for this lease, but I got to pay for it. We must keep the promise to the people that's paying the bills. And the people that's paying the bills are the taxpayers, the homeowners, the people that are paying property taxes, sales tax. They must be considered first. And particularly right now when the economy is very shaky, we've heard from banking experts. She knows this thing like the back of her hands. We heard from real estate folks that's in this every single day. And more importantly, I done heard from grandma and grandpa. Not mine, because they're passed away. But I've heard from other people, grandmother, grandpa. I've seen a lady in this building cry because she couldn't pay. She said, I've never not paid my taxes. And she was in tears, about to lose everything. And we just can't sit back and say, okay, 2 minutes, and now we're going to move on and do business as usual. So I believe that with some of the things that we have discovered, different funds that we have available, there's a $40 to $43 million interest earnings fund that we done got off the interest earnings. Now, we might not get that next year, but we talking about right now. And the 30%, we need a right now program to help people to hang on, and maybe the economy will recover. Maybe things will get better. But we have to throw this lifeline. It was promised to the taxpayers. It was promised to the homeowners. They were duped when they said voted. They voted for it because they thought they were voting for themselves and for the stadiums. We got the stadiums, but the homeowners got duped. So I'm looking at that as a possible source. I'm not saying it's the only source. Whatever source, I'm saying is there as a possibility to show that I'm trying to look at it in a responsible way. But we have a responsibility to the homeowners of Hamilton County who are on the brink of losing everything. And we can do a little something. And then somebody else do a little something. And then somebody else do a little something. And now we come together as a community to save the folks that live here. So I support buy leave number 5, and I'd like to introduce it and open it up for discussion. Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you who came in. I also received some emails from some of you in the room. Thank you for weighing in on this issue. It's a difficult issue. Every year we have to grapple with this issue, and we have to look at our finances and look at our obligations. And as was stated, 30 years ago, there was a promise made to this community, a promise that could not be kept. 30 years ago, nobody worried about whether or not that promise was going to be kept. But here we are, 30 years later, trying to honor a promise that was not responsible. And we have not been able to live up to promise. We've tried to do everything we can for the property tax payers, and we will do that, I'm confident, this time around as well. But we've not been able to do 30% because we have these obligations in this fund. And so I'm going to just highlight those a little bit, because when I say obligations, I mean obligations. It's not as if we have a choice on what this fund pays for. It pays for the debt service, it pays for operating, it pays for capital, it pays for emergency repairs, it pays the pilot program to the schools, and then it pays the PTR. So those are the obligations of this fund that we're talking about, this fund that's been set aside, the sales tax fund. And so we have to do these things. And if we were not to do these things, and we were to take too much for the PTR out of this fund, the general fund is the backstop. Well, we're just in the middle of our budget discussions right now. We're in a tight budget this year. But when we talk about the general fund, we're talking about 911 operators. We're talking about sheriff deputies. We're talking about the court systems. We're talking about some of the programming that we've been able to do in partnership with some of our community partners. All of that would be at risk if we start dipping into the general fund to pay these obligations that currently we're paying for through the stadium fund. If we did 30% this year and in the following years, we would be bankrupt in this fund by 2028. If we had done 30%, we did it in 22 because that was COVID, and I voted for that, and that was an exception, and I said it at the time. If we had done 30% in 23 and 24, we would be bankrupt in this fund next year. So it's not like we have a lot of play in this fund. And so I am, this is always a difficult conversation to have, but last year we decided to put a formula in place so that we had a basis for which to, to move forward. And so we decided, or we had the suggestion that 85% of this reserve needed to be in place to pay all these obligations. And so under that formula, whatever is left then goes to the PTR, and it fluctuates. As you might imagine, that fluctuates. But we're always trying to do as much as we can. And so under the formula then, in this year, given what's in that fund, 18.8 is by way of the formula, is what we can give back to the PTR. And so that is an increase from last year. It's been going up the last few years. It's not been 30%, but it has gone up. So the increase from last year is $36. And so it's $67.50 per home that's 100K. So as I said, there are two things that I'm looking for here when I take a vote. One is providing a significant property tax benefit for the taxpayers as much as we can, while also providing long-term stability in the stadium fund. Those are the two things. And from my vantage point, I'm putting a check and a check next to those priorities. So we've heard a lot about the strain of property taxes and the property tax increase by way of the reeval that we had last year, or rather this year. I 100% agree that people are stressed because of these property tax increases. And we have done a lot of work on this county commission to try to plug the gaps. We've done senior utility assistance, we've worked with legal aid, we've provided for those that want to challenge their appraisals, we've helped with the appraisal cost, we've done mortgage relief, we've committed money in many, many different funds for this purpose, trying to help people stay in their homes. And we all recognize that it's a huge challenge, and I'm open to the idea that we can do more. We need to do more. And we also need to build more affordable housing, just as an aside. But the issue here about property tax, while we can do these things, and they're temporary, they're all temporary fixes, as is this. The PTR is a temporary fix. We're talking about this year or next year. It's a one-year thing, because we do this every year. If we want to get serious about property taxes, we need to go to the state. We need to go to the group of people that have influence about property taxes. We have said that we are supporting legislation that gets to this, that provides some relief. The legislature needs to act to provide some kind of long-term solution to what we're all talking about. We don't have the authority to do that. And so I am supportive of doing as much as we can, keeping that balance at 85% so we don't run into a situation where the fund goes bankrupt and we're dipping into the general fund to pay for the obligations of the stadium tax. And so I am going to, I would like to abide by the formula that we put in place last year to give relief to the top property tax, the folks that pay property tax in the amount that we can afford. Because from my vantage point, we can't always afford 30%. I just described to you what happens if we do that year over year, and we just can't afford it. And so I'm glad that the formula suggests that there will be an increase this year as there was last year. And so that's where my position is. I know that you put a motion on the table. There wasn't a second, but I'm happy
gonna
to,
open it up for
I'm
Commissioner-
happy to provide those
Yeah,
remarks.
we'll open it up for Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who came and spoke on this issue and also the other issues that are really vitally important to our board. First of all, I want to thank the administration. I appreciate your recommendation of 18.8%. I know it wasn't willy-nilly that you guys looked at what you thought was best for the county, so I appreciate that. I also wanted to make another point that our general fund is balanced. It had a $50 million gap, and the administration was able to balance that, so our general fund is balanced. As we talk about the PTR, first and foremost for me, the commitment that was made by Hamilton County residents in 1996 was unrealistic. For them to make that commitment, I just think it was just the worst decision that they could have made. There was no consideration of our financial landscape in the future. So yeah, it's just as bad as the lease that we signed for the stadium, that it was the most ridiculous lease I'd ever seen. The declaration was made at the same time that the stadium contract was agreed upon. Secondly, moving forward to 2024, the board talked about the ridiculous, outrageous, nonsensical property assessments done by the state of Ohio. There were so many horror stories of property owners who had no idea of not only the property valuation, but how they could afford to even keep their homes. The board was so concerned that we allocated monies to outside entities to help our residents with reassessments. There are also lobbyists, as was said earlier, in Columbus, working to try to change the process. Well, we know about lobbyists and we know about Columbus. How fast do they work? The bottom line for me is that people are not only stressed, they're suffering. It's a major difference if you're worried about something, but if you can't put food on your table, you are suffering. Or if you're not eating and letting the children eat, you are suffering. Right now, from as we said, the rising food prices, utilities, a possible rate increase through MSD, they need help right now. The residents need help right now. I've always been fiscally responsible, and this is not a physically irresponsible decision, suggestion of 30% PTR. It will not break the bank for us, but what it will do is make a policy exception. As we were saying, we came up with a formula. We have to make a policy exception of our debt service reserves from 85 cents, thank you, 85% to 74%. I want the people, and that's not a major difference, but what I do want the people to know of Hamilton County is that I hear you. I want to make it very, very clear, though, that this is not a commitment to the following years. If we keep down this road, as was said earlier, of 30%, the fund will be insolvent by 2028. And none of us know about 2025. There's going to be a lot of changes coming forth, not only in Hamilton County, but in the whole United States. So while we can, for now, I want the residents to know if this passes, that help is on the way with the 30% PTR.
Thank you very much. I just want to add one thing to the comments that were said. This fund, there is no such thing as a fund. It's a property tax increase, so it didn't have to be restricted. We are self-restricting. And as I indicated, my issue is that if we can find, because we're still under this old lease and it can still They can still keep this lease going if they want to for another 10 years. And if we have to keep the commitment here, and we can be creative, we can find the money, those kind of things. Last year, we voted for $39 million which is more than what this property tax rollback will be. We gave $39 million for seats. We kept the promise, we found the money. And so now we're saying, hold on, let's keep the promise to the taxpayers. And so I don't want to give this gloom and doom that, oh my God, we never tell them we're going to be broke. We never say in this lease, we say we got to find it. We got to be creative. It's in the lease. And so we're trying to keep the promise to the taxpayers who voted for this. With that, I'd like to make a motion for buy leave, to approve buy leave 5.
Second.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Okay. Thank you. It passes. Those who have to leave, if you want to stay, you can. We're getting ready to go into a public hearing. But thank you all very much. Great news for the homeowners. All right, we've got a public hearing. The first one is our public hearing for the planning and development of 2025-2029 Consolidated Plan. Maria Collins, Community Development Administrator.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here today to fulfill a HUD requirement, which is to seek comments for the 2025-2029 Consolidated Plan as advertised in the Cincinnati Herald, the County Court Index, and on the Community Development webpage. Every 5 years, HUD requires Hamilton County to provide a comprehensive review of their county needs, priorities, objectives, goals, strategies, and also the goal setting in the annual action plan's budget for the HUD, county's HUD entitlements, which consist of the community development block grants, the home investment partnership, and also emergency solutions grants over this next 5-year time period. So with that, I would like to ask the commissioners to open the floor for public comments, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, did you want to say something, or are we good to go to the comments? You good? Okay. Kathleen Kennedy. I thought I did, but we want to make sure. Did I make a motion to open the public hearing? I don't have to. I have to make one to close it. Got it. Okay. Announce it.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Kennedy.
Good, okay. Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Kathleen Kennedy, and I am the Assistant Township Administrator for Springfield Township. I'm here today to speak in support of Community Development Department and their proposed 5-year consolidated plan. First and foremost, I would like to say that Springfield Township and other first-ring suburbs, communities like it throughout Hamilton County benefit greatly from programs proposed to be continued in the consolidated plan. Economic development assistance provided through programs like CDAP were critical to the redevelopment of a vacant building in our main business corridor into a bustling new brewery in Springfield Township. Through the Community Development Block Grant Program offered to participating jurisdictions throughout the county, parks are refurbished, sidewalks replaced, and buildings renovated in some of the areas in the county where support is most needed. These programs all enhance the quality of life for residents in the county. Innovative proposed new programs in the consolidated plan, such as the Facade Improvement Program, the Home Improvement Program, and the Competitive Community Projects Program, are reflective of the current needs of our businesses and residents in Hamilton County. As a member of the Community Development Advisory Committee, I also have the added perspective of reviewing applications for community development grant programs and seeing residents of the county benefited by the support offered through other programs such as the Home Program and nonprofit services. These programs change lives for the better and are supported by Community Development Department and their programs. Finally, if I can, I'd like to thank the staff in the county's Community Development Department. The technical support from Director Maria Collins and her team are second to none. And on behalf of Springfield Township, I would like to thank the department for all of the assistance they offer us in Springfield Township. Thank you for your time and support of the proposed 5-year consolidated plan.
Thank you. Angela King.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, Madam President. And thank you, Maria Collins, for the opportunity to speak with you today. I am here not only to support the Community Development Consolidated Plan, but also just to support or to represent the Free Store Food Bank. Many of you know about Free Store Food Bank, but when you think about the Free Store Food Bank, many people think about just food services. They don't think about all of the other wraparound services that are very important to the work that we do and the support that we give to residents here in Hamilton County. So I wanted to speak just for a moment and kind of bring your attention to the support that we've received over the past 5 years with Community Development Block Grant funds, and just kind of give you just a picture of what those funds can do to help us to support the community. I heard a lot of conversation today. There's a lot of angst and, not sure what's going to happen, but I heard about the food costs. And if anybody walks on Liberty Street to our Customer Connection Center, you can see right about now we have a line wrapped around the building because people are waiting on their holiday food. But in addition to that, we serve almost 300, 400 people a day because they can't afford the basic need of food, right? And then we get a lot of calls for our wraparound services for our stabilization program because they can't afford their rent and utilities, and they're not sure what that means for them. They're at risk of homelessness. Their hours are being reduced, so they can't pay their rent. It's not that they don't want to, they can't. So I just want to give you just some an overview of how we've utilized Community Development Block Grant funds. In 2020, we received $300,000 for food assistance. With that, we were able to serve 31 Hamilton County partner agencies. Free Store Food Bank has over 560 partner agencies. With that money in 2020, we were able to serve over 31 partner agencies. We were able to serve 177,000 total individuals were served in Hamilton County, and 10 million pounds of food were distributed. Well, goodness. Okay. I had a little bit more to give you, but I'll leave it with you if that's okay.
Yes, if you give
I
it
want
to
you
the
to
clerk.
understand the impact that this funding and then the work that the Development Department does to support the Free Store Food Bank. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That report is great to have. So if we could get that to the clerk. I don't see any other cards. Is anyone else here to speak in the public hearing?
We did have.
Okay, I'll open it up. Vice President Driehaus.
I thank the individuals that came in to speak. These are really important programs, so thank you for lending your perspective to this.
Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments as relates to this plan, consolidated plan through HUD. I just pray that the impact that HUD has on Hamilton County will continue in 2025. I know this consolidated plan is 2025 to 2029. And for those that are listening, the consolidated plan includes the countywide CDBG facade improvement program, the countywide home improvement program, the home and ARP affordable rental housing program, and the competitive community projects within different communities. So this is such an important program, a great plan, and I just hope that we can continue it through 2029. So I'm being positive about that. So thank you.
Thank you. On that point, I want to make sure, Mr. Ludo, our lobbyists who are in Washington, because Washington's going to be a little different, to keep an eye on informing us if there's any changes to HUD, because there's going to be some massive changes. And to get those to us as quick as possible so that we're able to react not late, but early, and maybe they're up there now and can do some, I'm sure a lot of people are talking, maybe it's some information they may have, which I think will be important as we move forward. Lastly, I did have a question about food pantries. I'm a big, everyone knows I'm a big supporter of Free Store Food Bank. Food insecurity in deserts is a passion of mine. But I got a call from Jarrell Baptist, who has a pantry and no longer has, or they're getting ready not be able to have a pantry. They wanted to know about some help. Would that come from something like this? Would they be able to partner, or would that be part of what we're doing as well?
Yes, well, the food pantry, which would be considered access to food, would be an eligible activity for the community development block grants. So generally, those funds would be awarded through our nonprofit services program, which would actually be released or open up for new applications next spring.
Okay. Can somebody check with Jarrell? Y'all got the experts in the room. Somebody check with Jarrell Baptist Church.
Yes.
They're in the West End, and I know they do. If they asked about it, if somebody could send us something or send me something about what's going on there, it would be helpful.
Yes.
I know they said they weren't able to make it today for the hearing, but
Yeah, we would be happy to speak with them. We can possibly refer them to other agencies in the county that may be able to assist them at this particular moment, since ours is going to be a little while before our funding will be available. But we do refer agencies to other agencies throughout the county that we know would be able to assist them with their particular need. So,
great. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to comment about what you said about Jarrell Baptist, because I don't know if you were here, the meeting where I asked to see the list of the food bank partners that Free Store has, and it's like 4 pages back and front. So I don't know if you got that or not, but you might want to look on there and see if they're listed as a partner.
Yeah, if you could get, I didn't get it, but if you could get it to me.
Okay.
I'd look and see. They just like asked me this maybe a week ago.
Okay.
They were gonna come, but they couldn't make it.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure that their, whatever their concern is was
all right,
articulated.
we'll definitely check with them.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Thank you.
You'll let us know what's next, I guess.
I would actually like to let you know what's next right now. I just didn't want to interrupt you. There's no action required by the board today, of course. However, just so you know that we did open up the public comment period for the consolidated plan in November, and that will run until January the 16th for anyone that wishes to comment on the plan. We will be back in March to present an overview of the 2025 action plan to the board with public hearings to follow that. And then we'll return in April to request approval of the 2025-29 con plan, 25 action plan, and resolution. And then both plans will be submitted to HUD by May the 16th. And then HUD will have 45 days to review those plans.
Commissioner Dumas, you were about to say?
She sort of answered it. I was asking, thinking, when does HUD need the plan? Because I was saying, let's get it in quick, but they don't need it until May.
Yes, we started this process very early, back in August, so that we would have time to pull this information together, present it to you all without, anyone feeling rushed. You guys have time. You all have time to process it as well. So yes, we have a little time.
To rush because it's a whole nother change. So we trying to get it
Yes.
as quick as possible before the door closes.
Yeah.
So if you see any timeline changes, we're ready to move as fast as possible.
Yeah, May is our deadline
Is the
to
deadline.
submit this to HUD. May the 16th to be exact.
Okay. Mr. Ludo, you want to?
Yeah, Maria, correct me if I'm wrong. We have one more a public hearing in January on this. I believe?
Yes,
So-
in January, we'll have a second public hearing on this, on the consolidated plan. And then, as I said before, we'll be back in March with an overview for the 2025 annual action plan.
Okay.
Okay, and then there'll be 2 public hearings to follow that plan as well.
Okay. Thank you. Keep your eyes and ears open.
Yes, definitely.
In case something changes. Okay, we're going into another public hearing on the budget. The 2025 Hamilton County budget hearing is now in order. Mr. Ludo.
Thank you, Commissioners. So this is a presentation on the first public hearing for the recommended 2025 budget. I presented on this in Tuesday's staff meeting as well. I'm going to provide a little bit of an expedited version of that presentation today, hopefully not leaving out the substance, but just taking out some of the background, some of the background information. But first and foremost, the presentation I'm going to give is for those folks who may be watching at home. This is not a final budget of the county. This is the administration's recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. So as I said on Tuesday, if you watch this and you have an issue, do not call board offices to complain. Please call the administration. This is just a recommendation to the board at this point. So right out of the gate, just want to, there we go. I just want to indicate that the all funds budget, which includes all funds of the county, including the county general fund, it comes to the board as a recommended level of $1.3 billion. The general fund itself is balanced at $389.3 million. This is actually a slight decrease from 2024, given a couple of anomalies in the 2024 budget, including additional costs for the Board of Elections, given the presidential election, and a larger capital expense in that year. The sources for the 2025 recommended budget, the sales tax is the bulk of the revenue for the county, coming in at $158 million projected. This is 41% approximately of revenues. I will say for anyone who may be watching at home, this is a different sales tax than that we talked about as it related to the PTR. This is 0.75% levied for the county general fund. And then you can see the additional revenue sources as well, including property tax, intergovernmental revenues, interest earnings, real estate fees, local government fund, court fines, building permits, et cetera. In terms of how these tax dollars are used, 75% of the funds that come to the county general fund are expended for public safety or judicial purposes, followed by general government funds, which includes everything from the auditor, treasurer, recorder, Board of Elections, et cetera. And then you can see public works, debt service, economic development, and social services. The reserve balance at the end of 25 is projected at $66 million, or 17.1%. This is slightly higher than the board policy of 15%. In terms of revenue drivers for the county budget, we have seen the revenues are projected to be up 2.75% in 2025. Sales tax in particular, however, has seen significant slowdown over this year. We have seen 4 of the 10 months this year on which we have a report as being a year-over-year decline from 2024. So we are projecting cautiously a 1% growth of sales tax in 2025. That slowdown and plateauing in revenue, I should say, provides the color for what is a bit more cautious budget recommendation to the board this year, and why, as we'll talk about in a couple of moments here, we are recommending pulling back on some of the discretionary programming of the county to ensure that ongoing revenues can match ongoing expenditures. One note, and this was talked about a little bit earlier in one of our other items, but one area where earnings and revenues have been higher than we typically see is in the area of interest earnings. We are recognizing $22.9 million of the treasurer's projected $46 million in interest earnings towards the operating budget. Later, I'll discuss some recommendations for the what we are considering as one-time resources above that $22.9 million level. And for folks who may be watching at home saying, well, if you are projecting $46 million, why aren't you counting all of that towards your operating budget? And the answer is relatively simple, and that is that interest earnings fluctuate significantly from year to year. It can fluctuate significantly depending upon the the actions of the federal government, in particular the Federal Reserve. We've seen interest earnings anywhere between $8 million a year to well over $30 million a year. And just like when you're at home in your own budget, if you lock in your spending amounts based upon a revenue that is not expected to continue, that's a recipe for disaster long term. So the challenge of the administration and the budget office this year was trying to project a revenue or how much of that interest earning revenue do we think we can count on sustainably over time, so that we don't have to ultimately cut deep into operations should that number fall. So we want to count as much as we can, because we don't want to pull money needlessly from operations. At the same time, we don't want to count too much and be in a position to have to reduce staff or programming if the revenue falls. In terms of expenditure drivers, and these are just changes year over year, we see that the courts are up around $6.5 million. Juvenile court is up 3.45. Veteran services up 1.4 million. Economic development is down 2.67 million in terms of a projection. And again, this gets back to what I was talking about earlier, and that is just the pullback on some discretionary programming to ensure that we could balance and maintain and retain a lot of our core mandated functions of county government. The communications center budget is down $1.14 million as they draw on reserves. Also just noted that the sheriff is down $12,000. It's not a lot on the size of that budget, but nonetheless just shows that even our largest departments year over year, some of those are reflecting decreases. Compensation is the recommendation in the budget is for a 3% across the board for non-bargaining employees of the county. That's made up of at the end of the day, that's made up of $3.9 million in salary adjustments. Medical is projected to be up $4.3 million, so total benefit increase of $8.2 million. The budget themes this year, as we went into this, was to transition the budget to in the county operation to a new setting as we move out of some of the federal grants that we've been provided over the past several years, to stabilize the county in that regard and to continue to progress on the advancement of some of our core mandated requirements, as well as some of the board policy directives that we've received as well, just to make sure that we are not backsliding in those areas. So when we talk about transitioning, again, we talked a little bit about this, but we are seeing slower revenue growth right now. We are not panicking about that, but at the same time, we want to be cautious about how we're projecting future revenues. We talked about our federal pandemic aid coming to an end over the past since the CARES Act and since the beginning of COVID. We've seen about $250 million come in. The board has used this from everything from keeping people in their homes to supporting health infrastructure of the county to affordable housing, workforce development, et cetera. Those dollars are coming to an end. So we're moving into a little bit different of an environment. We began the process in this budget with a $50 million gap. That is a gap between projected revenues and departmental requests. I'll talk in a little bit about how we went about balancing this budget. But as we transition, we're going to be looking to message that future departmental growth is going to need to be linked to more modest revenue growth projections. In terms of how we balanced the budget, close to $20 million right off the top was targeted reductions to requests of departments, staffing programs, et cetera. We took a focused look at vacancy reductions, essentially indicating that we don't believe that many departments are going to be able to operate at a level of staffing that they might project. That's something we typically see in budgets. However, to the degree that these departments do staff at closer to the levels that they project, that's going to be a budget risk, and that's something that we'll have to take a hard look at as we move throughout the year. We made some modest revenue revisions throughout the course of the balancing process. We took some dollars that departments were requesting that we felt were more, not so much operating, but more non-recurring capital, and we moved those into a bin for one-time occurrences. And then at the end, when we were still looking to balance, it's not typically our first choice, but we did a across the board reduction that closed the gap with $4.74 million. Just talking a little bit about some of our programming. I'm not going to spend as much time on this as I did back on Tuesday, but starting first with public safety, the budget retains a $5 detail rate for 911 calls. This saves communities significant money. Again, for those watching at home, whenever someone from a community calls 911, there is a bill that goes to the community, not to the resident, but to the community to help fund the 911 center. That rate is at $5. It, in the past, has been higher than $20. So when we put in place the sales tax back in 2019, we lowered that down to $5. That saves communities in total around $3 to $4 million per year, which helps them put additional public safety forces on the street. The budget reinitiates operations at Hillcrest through juvenile court, funds the care pods at the Justice Center, facilitates additional patrols in our western and northwestern districts, and continues capital improvements at the Justice Center. In economic development, talked a little bit about this, but the 2025 budget retains most of the programming for economic development, albeit at reduced funding levels. So all of these programs continue throughout the budget: the community revitalization grants, community impact program, tourism economic development grants, small event grants, site readiness, bike trail allocations, the new programming that we put in through Alloy, which is the 504 loan expansion program, small business day, pitch night, all of that remains. Many of those, especially the larger grant funds, do see a reduction in the recommended amounts. Social services, vulnerable populations, this continues prevention services. The budget continues prevention services and JFS at $5 million. There's full funding for the Veteran Services Commission per their request at $2.8 million. There's an increase in funding for short-term housing through reentry, and also support for the One Ohio grants direct allocations from the One Ohio program set up through the state. We've also in this budget begun to take a look at how we transition some of the programming that was set up through ARPA. Now that ARPA will be going away, how do we continue that programming as we move into the future? So the 513 relief programming, how do we continue that through a combination of ARPA and levy funds, and how do we transition that into levy funds long-term after 2026 when ARPA expires? Same for the Senior Utility Assistance Program and Inspire. In Inspire's case, that is transitioned fully into the Children's Services Levy. Continued progress in our infrastructure programs, including the Hamilton County Regional Safety Complex, our EMA 911 facility consolidation out in Springdale, where we're co-locating 911 and EMA, the satellite office that we're currently constructing in Forest Park, the relocation of several departments out to the Bond Hill, currently known as the Mercy site in Bond Hill, animal shelter improvements both at our temporary shelter locations, as well as development of a long-term animal shelter, some of our facade and elevator work, some of the heavy capital work that has to happen on our buildings, continued progress on the convention district, and continued capital progress at Paycor and GABP. We talked a little bit about one-time resources. There are several, in total about $11 million recommended in one-time non-recurring expenditures. Examples include a $5 million site readiness development grant for a National Women's Soccer League bid in an attempt to obtain a NWSL franchise. That community bid process is going on. This is the county's contribution to that. Again, a one-time contribution. The media has talked about, and there's been action over at the city as it relates to one-time and ongoing allocations for the to try to lure the Sundance Film Festival from its current home in Park City out to Hamilton County, Greater Cincinnati. There is a technology migration project in the Court of Common Pleas, and a portion of the increase of veteran services we are funding from recommending funding from this allocation, just because while we are funding the entirety of their budget request, it is such an increase from prior years that we're not quite certain how much of that is going to be sustainable. So in this first year, we're funding $1 million of it from this location. Talked a little bit about risks in the budget. First is continued revenue softness. We expect to continue to see downward trends in interest earnings as the Federal Reserve pulls back on interest rates. We hope to continue to see an increase in sales tax. However, that's not what we're seeing at this point, so that is a risk in the budget. We talked a little bit about staffing pressures in departments. As the county has right-sized its or righted its wages more on a competitive basis, to the degree departments are able to attract and retain staff at higher rates than we have in the past, we will see less vacancy. And that could conflict with some of the estimates and projections that we made in departmental budgets in terms of the vacancy levels that we expect to see based upon historical look-backs. And then obviously continued wage pressure, that is an annual risk in the county's budget. So with that, Commissioners, that wraps up my brief overview of the 2025 budget. This is our first public hearing. Our next public hearing is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Silverton Municipal Building. So with that, Madam President, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. We don't have any cards from the audience on this, but I will open it up for Vice President Treehouse.
No, it's just a repeat of what we already had presented, so I appreciate that, Jeff. I was looking forward to the comments, but since there are none, I'll sit quietly back.
Okay. Commissioner Dumas?
Thank you, Jeff, for your presentation. Nothing specific. I'll wait till after a little later in this process. But as we read through all of this, we've done and we're doing such great things in this county. And I'm so proud to be a part of this board and where we're just so creative and innovative, and we have touched every corner of this county, and I'm just so proud. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Well, we had a hearing on Tuesday. There were a lot of questions that we were able to ask. I think the budget is a good foundation. Looking forward to getting down into the weeds. But I do want to highlight a couple things that I want to make sure. One was that I wanted an organization chart. I had it when I first came. I asked for it in the first budget that has the organizational chart. We've added a lot of positions. I want to know how many positions we've added in the last 4 years. I want to know how much we're spending and what those positions are. I also would like to know what's the budget of those particular, I would say departments, smaller departments. I'm not looking at JFS, I'm looking at the ones that report to you on the 6th floor. So I just want to keep a handle on it. And I was a little concerned Tuesday when you said I've got to get with Frank, and it's complicated. And I think we should always have at our fingertips as we're adding costs, we're adding positions to the table of organization. Once they go to those table organizations, these are funded positions, whether somebody's there or not. And I was a little concerned that we're adding things and we don't have this at our fingertips. I would hope that we would have this at our fingertips. It shouldn't be complicated, or we shouldn't be just adding positions. We're adding this position, that position. We should have a handle on what we're adding, and the organizational chart should be something that's easily gotten to. And I think it's important for me as I'm voting for things. I don't want to be voting for positions and we don't even have a table organization. So I definitely would like to get that as quickly as possible. So I wanted to highlight that as well. So there'll be we had some other questions, and I think you were going to get us some information each of us had. And the quicker we get it, the more we all can look at it, and I guess our chiefs of staffs would be able to, talk about it. So we're not at the last second, a mad dash rush. I want us to be able to enjoy the holiday. I thought last year we didn't. I thought we weren't able to do that. It got down to the last seconds, and it was pretty rough going into Christmas. And the year before, it was nice going into Christmas. The year before that, it was nice. So I would like to get this information as quickly as possible because that's important. I want to keep my eye on money being spent, consultants, new table of organization spots, what's the amount, what's really available and what's not available. Because on one hand, we say, oh, we broke, and then we adding all these jobs. Oh, we're broke, but then we're adding consultants. So we've got to be able to get our hands around it, at least for me, to be able to, so I can see the total picture. So those are some things I know Tuesday you're starting to work on, and look forward to getting that information.
Thanks, Commissioner. And yes, we've got the list of questions that the board had asked on Tuesday. We'll be getting back to the board on that. Just to clarify my comment on the complicated issue, we absolutely have a very detailed understanding of the departmental budgets of all the staff, et cetera. What is a bit complicated is showing that visually in a way that easily shows the positions that are added over 4 years on something that is simple to show visually. So that's what we're working on, but we should have that by the end of the week.
Okay, and I do have the copy of the one you gave me 3 years ago. Maybe that could be helpful, because it was helpful. It was real easy to read.
Okay, so I'd like to take a look at what you have there, because if we can conform it to what you received before, maybe try to do that as well.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, well, there's nobody here to talk about the budget. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, if you don't mind, there's a guest here for Inspire. Commissioner Dumas's guest. If you don't mind, if she would be able to go first in her comments about Inspire, because I know someone's been sitting here for a while. Okay. Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you so much. We have a very patient young lady who's here. I'm going to have Alice introduce her. She has as you know, once a month we talk about Inspire program, and this is called From Fatherless to Fearless. I love the name. So Alice, if you'd like to introduce her.
Good afternoon. I'm Alice Bledsoe over the Inspire Youth Initiative grant, and today we have Candace Creer, who is over From Fatherless to Fearless. She's doing great work with the youth, and she can tell you more about it.
Okay, great.
Greetings. Thank you so much for having me. I'm the founder and CEO from Fatherless to Fearless. We focus on fatherless girls specifically. So whether their father has passed away, walked away, is in jail, or emotionally unavailable, we help them on their journey to healing and wholeness. And we do that through our 3 pillars of mental, emotional, and financial health. And these girls specifically are teen girls. So predominantly 13 to 18 years old. We do go up to 21 because we are also in the juvenile justice system as well. But we facilitate our programming. We have a bridge program. It's a 14 and 8-week program. We facilitate it on site at the institution. So whether it's a high school or a partner, a nonprofit partner, et cetera. We're so grateful for the Inspire funds because part of those funds actually went towards, or will be going towards, a rewards trip that we have. These students, of course, they tackle their mental health right in the middle of the school day. And, you know, it's hard for adults to even tackle their mental health, let alone kids. And so we are very adamant about rewarding them. And so these kids will be able to go on an all-expense paid trip to Dave & Buster's as a reward for going through the program and actually tackling their mental health. Some of the lessons on the program are confidence, accountability, setting boundaries, but also we focus on the path of letting go. In addition to that side of the business, we have a different side as well where we have community events. And one of our larger community events, President Reese was able to come to this year for our Better Together conference. This is a conference for mothers and daughters. So we mandate that the mother has to attend with their daughter that's 12 to 18 years old. It is not only a unifying relationship building conference, but it's also a mental health conference where we have counseling available on site at that conference. And they go through these sessions. They separate in the morning, and in the afternoon they are together and really building that relationship up, because we know that it is a trying time between a teen daughter and their mother, and we see that often. So these Inspire dollars have actually paid for some of those services that we're going to have for that actual conference, which we are excited about. We already have it set for this next June coming up. So we are just grateful to even be the recipients of the money, because we have had a few challenges just with everything that's happening within the arena when it comes to funding that supports initiatives. I mean, for us, we are very, very unique when it comes to fatherless girls. I've only been able to find 5 other organizations in the United States that actually focuses on teen fatherless girls. So what we do is very, very unique. And because of that, we always want to push this initiative forward to help these girls that are honestly being left behind. We hear it in the schools. We hear it oftentimes. I know you've heard it on the news. There is a challenge here with this youth. And so really tackling that mental health piece, but becoming that bridge, that's what we are doing. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I see you've served up to 200 youth so far.
Yes, we have
great.
served 250 youth this year. We definitely expect more next year, 350 youth and their families for sure.
Fantastic.
Well, I just want to thank you, and it shows the process works. Found out about Candace's program and her background coming out of corporate America, left corporate America to pursue this passion to help fatherless girls. And just to hear where you came from, and I know you had reached out and said, hey, is there anything? And Veda from office said, hey, you've got to get with the Inspire program, and here's Alice, and it's good to see it. And I just think that, I know she's part of the Inspire program, which is a very good program. Thank you, Commissioner Dumas. But I also think there's something else there, because we've got some other, I think, connecting her with the mental health piece, connecting her with jobs and families. We have a father's program, which I think Director Patton and his team does an excellent job. But we don't have something like what you have. So there may be something, Alice connecting her with others, Jobs and Family Services, some other, I just think this a bigger platform. She was very modest. She brought in a national person that's a singer, used to be with Destiny's Child and is an actress, LaToya Luckett. She brought to town for these youth to be able to fellowship. And I got a chance to go by. It was a well put together thing. And she's been doing this on her own, with her own funds. And so I just think there's some connection with the mental health, with the Jobs and Family Services. There may be some other connections to expand what she's doing, because I have not heard of anyone doing something like this. And this is well needed. So just wanted to say that. Vice President Driehaus?
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I am not familiar with your program, so it sounds like you're doing really important work for these young people in our community. How long have you been doing this?
So I started in 2016 with adult women, balancing the dream and the job, but we converted over to a nonprofit in 2021. So we're 501c3.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Dumas.
No, I was just going to reiterate what you were saying about how we can use her maybe somewhere else in another program. I know Director Patton, who's here, maybe you can give him your card. He and I had talked about the PLOT program, PLOT, and so it's about trying to work with young people, young ladies, to go out and do some things and have some training. And I can see how possibly, I'm not putting him on the spot, JFS could utilize you. As you were saying, there are only 6 in the country that do what you're doing. And this is just a really significant piece as far as reentry and all that. Yeah, we're not going to let you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your support.
Thank you so much for all you do. Appreciate it.
Thank
you. Can we get a picture, maybe?
Yeah, we can get a picture.
Yeah.
You want us to go down? You come up or go down?
She can come up.
Come on up. We'll move our chairs over.
You want me to continue or just wait till you guys? It doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah. This week, Commissioner Dumas, just let her continue with her, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just a couple other things. The weekly White House briefing that I have every Thursday. Zanita Adams, who's the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Intergovernmental Affairs for the Department of Veterans, she was on and she talked about highlighting the benefits and new actions that they have to support veterans even more than they have in the past. So Biden-Harris administration is very, very committed to that. And Samantha Silverberg, the Deputy Assistant to the President for Infrastructure, talked about the 3-year anniversary of the bipartisan infrastructure law. And then Christina Costa, who's the Deputy Assistant to the President, talked about how President Joe Biden, he announced a $3 billion to strengthen the port infrastructure and create good paying and union jobs and bring cleaner air to communities. And one other thing, I met with, went to Reddy's Community Partners Holiday Breakfast, and they talked about their vision and what they've done for the year and how they're working in the community. And I met with the port, a virtual meeting as it relates to Swifton Commons, or they call it, it's not Swifton now, it's Midpoint. And I'm just really concerned about it's been vacant for almost 7, I want to at least say 6 years. And what's their direction as far as building this place up? And so I found out that they have been working on Midpoint, that the community, my understanding, is not unified as far as what they want there at that spot. That's not the whole issue. There was a developer, he was a little hesitant, but stayed in. The church has some decision-making process on what goes on that land. But I suggested that we reduce the price, if we can, of the land and do more advertising inside and outside of Ohio. There are lots of people looking for land to develop. So we need, and I also suggested possibly taking it back to what it was when those nice little shops were there. Everybody loved Swifton Commons, as it was called. There is a coffee shop there who's having difficulty staying there, not a lot of traffic going through, but they're looking at some creative ways to pump up the development of that area. So that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to by leave 1, if everybody's okay. There's some people here for that. Lisa will grab them. Okay, that's why I didn't see them. They said, people are here. I'm looking, where are they? Okay. Is Lisa going to tee it up, or will you? Who's going to tee it up?
One of us will see if she wants to.
Okay. She's grabbing them.
Just while we're waiting, Commissioner, so this is related to a technology project within the Sheriff's Office. Specifically, this relates to a contract with Axon, and it relates to the consolidation of multiple contracts and an increase in the level of service that the sheriff will walk through. But ultimately, the administration and budget office have been working with the Sheriff's Office on an approach to this that is sustainable. There are more costs to the program in the future, not as much in 2025, but in 2026. So there'll be some prioritization in the Sheriff's Office that'll have to occur to keep things sustainable. But with that in mind, it looks like Chief Gramke is actually going to tee us up in terms of the overview and the business case behind the Axon contractual consolidation project. Chief?
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a frog in my throat here, but yeah, this Axon contract, we've been working on this for some time now. This is going to put us at the top of the line, state-of-the-art technology. And the big thing about this is, and we talk about transparency and accountability, and that's what this is going to deliver for us. We expect it out of our officers, and the citizens expect it out of us. And that's what this is going to do. This is going to deliver on that promise.
Okay, you got a clicker over there? Do we need it? You got a presentation? Okay.
So this is the Axon ecosystem. Now the report with clarity, that is not part of our, what we're going to be getting here. But you see all the different things here. We have Taser 10, Axon Respond, Fusus, which we've purchased earlier, which is the system that draws all the cameras together. And then you've got the Axon Body 4, Axon Fleet 3. That's the in-car cameras. In fact, we bought 50 of these, and I can tell you that there was an allegation made probably within a month or so of us having installed that, and someone made an allegation against one of our officers. In years past, it would have taken us days, probably. We'd have had an investigation, the whole 9 yards. In 20 minutes, we cleared that officer. And it was pretty outlandish allegation. It was serious. And we were, in 20 minutes, we could clear that officer because we had video of what exactly happened. So that's in there as well. Axon Signal. So we've had issues where the officers will forget to turn on their body cameras. Axon Signal, when that gun is drawn, it immediately turns on the camera. The in-car cameras that I just was discussing as well, as soon as they turn the light bar on, that camera is turned on. We're going to be able to see what is going on. If there's a pursuit, you're going to be able to see what's going on, because the body cameras, the only thing you're going to see is the steering wheel. That's all you really see. A few years ago, we had an officer being shot at. The individuals in the car, there was 2 of them in the back seat, turned around and started shooting at our officer. Thank you. Thank you.
Service with this one.
There was no evidence of that, because all we could see is him talking on the radio, and you could see the steering wheel. So that's what this is going to give us. And as you go on here, you see all the different things that we're going to use here in this contract. Go ahead. The current package, we have 12 separate contracts. That's another part of this. We want to consolidate these contracts into one thing. It seemed like every couple of months we're renegotiating a contract with Axon, because none of them were at the same time frame. They were staggered. It was difficult. So this is going to give us one contract for all of the equipment that we're getting. Axon Body 3 cameras. Right now we have 235. We need about 600, so that everyone, whether it's in the courts, in the jail officers that are working outside of the jail, or our patrol deputies, everyone will have a body camera. 301 T7 tasers. That's what we have right now. I believe we have X2s. We have some X2s, and those are not going to be supported, or they're not supported now, are they?
They won't be within the next
year. Yeah, so we've already got stuff that's so old, we need to replace it. And this way we're going to replace it with the very best. And this contract is going to allow us to do that. Again, we had 50 fleet cameras. That's only about a third of our fleet. We need to get the rest of our fleet with the in-car cameras. We've got 11 drones right now and 3 interview rooms. All 3 of those interview rooms are at headquarters. And this next slide, the future, there's going to be 4 interview rooms. We're going to have 1 interview room. I know I'm starting on the bottom here, but we're going to have an interview room down at the Justice Center, and that'll be able to be used by any office or police agency that also has Axon. So the city of Cincinnati could come down and interview somebody, could all be recorded. But the future is, it's 1 5-year contract and 5 1-year renewals. The upgrades every 2.5 to 5 years. That's going to put us to 626 body cameras, and that's going to be everyone. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just so concerned about you trying to talk with that peppermint in your mouth. You have to do CPR.
I'm okay. I just sound bad. I don't feel bad. I had a cold.
A very white voice. We're okay.
I'm okay. So upgrades, 626 Axon Body 3 cameras. That's going to have, so that when our deputies are working a detail at the Reds game, Bengals game, FC, they're going to have body cameras. Right now, we don't do that. If we have a deputy that's a certified peace officer in the jail, he goes out, he's not wearing a body camera. We don't have them. We don't have enough of them. This will eliminate that. Also, 626 T10 tasers. These are the best of the best. This is brand new. Axon just came out with them. We tested them. They're really well made, and everyone would have that. And again, the fleet cameras in every car, 127. 20 drones from, what were we at, 13? 11. 20 drones. The future is drones. Okay, we're going to be able to we're going to send these up. The new drones, we can actually control them from our intelligence, or what soon to be our real-time operations center. So the officer will be able to put it out, and the intel unit will be able to fly them to cover the officer. It's pretty amazing technology. Including the upgrade, refresh of the body-worn cameras and the VR technology every 2.5 years, refresh of the fleet and taser every 5 years. Axon Citizen. If we have, let's say we had a critical incident, we canvass the neighborhood, we go door to door. If anybody's got any video, we're looking for this car, we're looking for this person. They don't want to get involved for whatever reason. They're going to be able to send us their doorbell or their door ring camera or whatever footage to this site and help us without anyone knowing that they're helping us. Axon Performance, Axon Standards, we use that now. The redaction assistant is also a big deal. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time on that. And again, single sidearm. The VR training, we are already starting down that road, but this will also supplement that. Also the extra interview room. Side by side, the one taser by itself costs around $3,500. With the cost of this entire contract, if you divide it up to 626 deputies, is only $3,900. So it's almost that we're spending $400 additional dollars in getting all of this. And again, that includes everything. Okay, Fusus, part of the new contract. Fusus is the expansion of that platform. And again, that brings all of our cameras in. That's AI technology, including the integration for the drones as first responders, which I was just talking about. These drones will be able to send them up and see what's going on before the officer gets there. This will also continue our AED, which we have one in every trunk of every cruiser. And then the Axon training for taser, BWC, VR, and signal sidearm. So that's all included. By entering into the 10-year agreement, we lock into these prices today. The average price increase is 8 to 12%. Average increase for the body-worn camera is 5 to 8%. Axon predicts and estimates a savings of $12 million over the contract. We set every division for success by providing them the absolute best tools of the trade with numerous upgrades, bringing in current and future technology. We continue with the sheriff's mission of accountability and transparency. Any questions?
Thank you. I'll open it up for questions. Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. I don't have any questions, but a comment that these look like serious upgrades to the department. I didn't realize everybody didn't have a body-worn camera.
Captain Stapleton and Lieutenant Savers have done a ton of work in this. And as we were walking over here, Commissioner, Captain Stapleton said, this is the largest increase of technology in the history of the Sheriff's Department. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I think, gosh, back when I was at the State House, we were talking about the importance of body-worn cameras for not only the deputies, but the citizens, so that there was no confusion about what had transpired, if there was some kind of conflict.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know if you said it, and I'm sorry if I missed it. So this is within the budget that has been currently allocated to the Sheriff's Office? Or what's the timing, I guess, on it?
Apologies, Commissioners. I also am losing my voice, which is why I'm back here.
Everybody on this
That's
project.
contagious.
What's
Yes.
going
There
on?
it is. It's contagious.
Where's the Lysol?
It's nice to be served by the chief. Yes, the current allocation or their current budget for 2025 includes the costs for this contract because they're consolidating 12 different contracts with all different starts and end dates. There's efficiency savings to be made here just in terms of the staffing and resources for the sheriff's office. As those are consolidated, it results in a kind of almost a price decrease for 2025 alone because some of those contracts have already been paid for with current dollars. So 2025 is included in the budget as is. The increase in cost really takes effect with the 2026 budget and for the 9 years from then on of the contract at that $3.3 million amount.
Thank you.
Anything? Commissioner Dumas?
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation. Yeah, definitely needed. I did have a question. I'm on the Public Safety Committee for the state county commissioners. And they were talking about the body-worn cameras are extremely important, but the problem is the storage. Trying to hold on to those videos and how long you can hold on and the cost of holding on to those videos. So is it inclusive in here for storage?
Yes, ma'am.
It is?
So, Evan's not. Steve, come up and talk about this.
Good afternoon, thank you. So included in this contract is evidence.com, which is the storage platform for everything Axon related. So because of the contract we're entering into and the negotiations with it, it's unlimited storage for the life of the contract. And so when somebody uses a body camera, it integrates automatically with our CAD system, so it knows why the officer was there. And it also tells the system how long to keep that video in with the retention policies that are set by the state and by the county.
Okay.
So
And what's a normal retention policy for a video?
normally
Depends on the case, or-
3, 5, 7 years. Our retention policies are really extreme just in case something would come up, but those are all negotiated through the sheriff's office, Jessica Jones in the state of Ohio. And so we enter all those in and it's all an automatic concept.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to go back to that page one where you got Verizon, AT&T. Are those the systems that it's on, or 'cause I didn't see T-Mobile or Boost Mobile or yeah.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Are those our carriers, or what are we?
so those are all of like Flock Safety, that's our camera system, Microsoft, and just different, Zoll is our the AEDs, the manufacturers, so.
Okay.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Graham Gill. I'm the Axon rep that's lucky enough to serve the Sheriff's Department.
You look like a technology person.
Do I?
Straight out of
Wow.
Silicon Valley or
It's the
something.
best compliment I've gotten in months. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So the top rung of the ecosystem slide is dedicated to the partners that we have. So technologies that we integrate with outside of Axon-made technology. So to the chief's point, several of these outside vendors are already partnering with the Sheriff's Department, and by expanding the ecosystem with Axon, we fully integrate into those existing partnerships to leverage and get the most out of the technology that the department and the county is already investing. So.
Okay, because I was wondering, does that prevent you from accessing what you need if someone's on T-Mobile, Boost Mobile, or one of those other carriers?
So the specific to the carriers, those are the carriers that we work with. So like AT&T, FirstNet, Verizon's preferred like police and fire network for like live streaming of the body cameras, GPS locations, things like that. So leveraging the existing partnership that they have with those organizations.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes, Commissioner.
What seems to stand out that's missing for me is Motorola. We use that a lot for our, what do you call it? You know, your
radios.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be included anywhere in this or not?
What do you guys use for your camera?
Because everybody uses it. All the police departments use it.
So Motorola is not an integrated partner in this ecosystem. just because there's not, like, as it stands with the technology today, there's not a need to integrate like the radio with the body camera, as an example. So those partnerships highlight like the existing technologies that are out there that our company integrates directly with.
That seems a little weird to me that you would not need to integrate the radios with the body camera. I'm thinking if somebody's, yeah.
Ms. Dumas, Captain Brian Stable.
Captain,
She's gonna have
please join us, Captain.
I just didn't want to come up because all the coughing that's
Yeah, I know that's right. I know that's
So, Captain Brian Stapleton with the Sheriff's Office. To kind of answer your question, while Motorola doesn't directly integrate with our Axon product, they are 100% part of what we do. So building out the CAD integration, the communication center that feeds into our evidence.com, using those radios is how we get dispatched to them. So it isn't a direct link. It's not included in this contract, but it is certainly a part of how we do business every day. So I hope that answered your question.
That helps, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I ask about the ownership? A lot of times we have these things and we're on people's platforms. Say in 10 years, you know, do we own our, I guess in the outside police world, it would be, do I own my content? Do we own our stuff if Axon is not the happening thing in 10 years? Graham, you're with Axon.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So to answer your question, yes, you own all of your data, and then you own all of the hardware and services, devices, et cetera, at the end of the contracted period. So we don't keep, like, if in 10 years they decide to go a different direction for digital evidence storage, they have full access to their digital evidence and can do with it what they please.
Okay, with no additional costs.
Correct.
Okay. That was the big thing with that. And another question, I think it might have been for Axon, I can't think of it right now. Certainly support, I mean, this is a big investment in safety. And so we definitely, cybersecurity. Axon, how secure are you?
We're fully CJIS compliant across the board through all of our digital evidence management and follow all the protocols for storing law enforcement data.
Okay, so you can fight the hackers.
Definitely.
And beat them. Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Because with AI out there, they can create a crime with AI. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Aludo, you have something?
Just very briefly, as we've gone into the past 2 budget cycles, utilizing the proceeds from the sales tax that was put in place back in 2019, improving the technology capabilities of the county has been something that we've tried to do incrementally in every budget cycle. This is one that we've been working with the sheriff on for a while to try to get them up at the sheriff's impetus to be an industry leader in the technology field and in the real-time crime field. We know that this is something that is going on in multiple departments, even with Axon. I think we have initiatives in the prosecutor's office, public defender. So we're seeing this type of technology platform accessed across the board in many of our public safety departments. And as I said at the very beginning, kicking this off, I think we all expect to see over the course of time efficiencies that develop both in terms of operations and ultimately financially in budgets. We've talked with many of these departments about from a personnel perspective, through attrition, that type of thing, how personnel needs will be lessened by some of the technology. I'm not focusing specifically on the sheriff's office, but in some of these other offices as well as technology is brought on board. And to the degree it is not, as we've talked with the sheriff's office and others about, that ultimately we know that, as Lisa indicated, in 2025, this fits perfectly within the budget. There are cost increases as we move forward, and we're just going to figure out ways to prioritize those additional costs into the operations of various departments. And that's something we've talked with all the departments, and they've all been upfront about the fact that that's something that they realize, recognize, and support. So,
yeah, I will support this today, but I will say we're going into a 10-year commitment, and I don't know what the upcharge you said is it's in the budget. We vote for a budget once a year. We're going to do a 10-year deal, and you're saying that there will be up charges. Both you and Lisa indicated that. So the 26, will it go up, or is this the total amount?
The 26, this is the total amount. The 26 budget will be it'll be $3.3 million. It'll be $3.3 million every year thereafter for the remaining, the 10 years, so the 9 years, yes.
Okay, because
That's the benefit. There is an uptick. We're adding a lot of equipment, but for future years, there is not a cost escalator built into this contract. It will be $3.3 million now. It'll be $3.3 million in 2034 in the final year of the contract as well.
Okay, you confused me. First you said we're flat. So I got the 3.3. But then you said, but then they'll go up.
It goes up
What's the up?
the first year, 2026.
What's the amount?
That's the 3.3.
3.3.
Currently, the current budget is about $1 million
So
for these services for 2025's request, yeah.
And with your $50 million gap this year, at one point, are you going to be able to fill that next year and the following year without cutting other services?
Yeah, so that's where we've talked with the departments about, as we see the efficiencies in the departments, we're expecting those efficiencies to occur. But if, at the end of the day, this is the type of service that we feel we need to be going to for the protection of the public and the officers and the sheriff's
No, I
office.
understand that.
No, I know you do. I'm just
but
saying,
we're voting on a 10-year contract today, not a 1-year contract. So I'm just trying to make sure.
we ultimately, as any budget happens, we have to prioritize.
Okay.
And this is a priority of the department, a priority of the county, and as such, we need to build it into future budgets, and we should be able to do that. Yes.
And one more question, why today? Why we have to hurry up today?
Absolutely. That was the one piece that was missing from the presentation earlier. The need to bring this on by leave today is so that the contract can be approved, equipment can be ordered, and trainings can be scheduled for all of the deputies so that we can start rolling this out in the first quarter versus contract being approved into December or even January and not being able to roll that equipment and training out until mid-year.
Okay. Vice President Trios,
Just a follow-up related to the budget question. So for you, Jay, we have a conversation. When I say we, I mean you in the budget office have a conversation about the budget every year, and you give us your request. We come back and say we can't do that much, and then we have a negotiation. So, in your opinion, as we move through this contract, and the increased cost primarily is not next in this particular budget, but in following budgets. What are your thoughts related to that? It sounds like it's a high priority item for the department, but can you give us your thoughts around it?
I think this is the highest priority in our office, that we get this because, the sheriff is very, our mission statement is very clear, transparency and accountability. And that's what this is going to provide. So this is one of the top priorities. We have been behind. 4 years ago, we were hand stamping police reports. So taking us to this level is really going to set us up for the future. And I believe that we can absorb this into our budget, and I think we can do with maybe less in other areas to make this happen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the projections, we just don't know what the projections are going to be.
I understand, and I think we can work around it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my concern is not just the projections, but my question is 10 years the minimum? Because we're going to be
5 years.
5 with the
1 year renewals after 5 years.
Because I'm saying we're going beyond the term of a county commissioner.
Right.
I'll still be here.
No, I'm saying you have to run again. You got to run again and again. I'm just saying we're going beyond. It's a 4 year plus 4.
But that locks us into this price, and I can tell you, CPD locked in. Graham 5 years ago. Cincinnati locked in 5 years ago, and that price is lower than what we're talking about right here. Yeah. So you do realize that savings as the farther you go out.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve by leave one.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Thank you all, and
thank you.
Please get some cough syrup or elderberry, D3. Thank y'all. We got to have you healthy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. let me get back to where we were. Okay, Vice President Driehaus, your comment.
We're all the way back to comments again. All right, so I'm going to make this quick. So just a few things. I did have an opportunity to go on a tour of the Emory Theater. This is going to be the new home for the Children's Theater down next to the Coffee Emporium on Central Parkway. The work they're doing is fantastic, and I do want to call them out. There's still work to be done, but they're paying a lot of attention to the historic nature of that building and the programming that they do for children. So I was really excited to do that. Also attended the press conference for River Roots, the big music festival that's coming. The mayors in Kentucky and here in Cincinnati challenged one another to a riverboat race. So that'll be in the offing. But this is really a music festival, and it's going to be very exciting. So I was pleased to join for that. I offered a proclamation on behalf of our commission to Barbara Bush, it's Sister Barbara Bush, who's the head of WIN Working in Neighborhoods. She's been at it for 45 years down in South Commonwealthville and has done so much work to keep people in their homes. We started our relationship back in 2008 and 2009 during the foreclosure crisis, and she was such a great, reliable partner when I was a state rep trying to do some of this work way back then. But she's just an icon in the community and has so much compassion and knowledge. So we celebrated her. She's really fantastic. And then lastly, I completed what I like to call my 49 and 49. So back in 2017, when I was first elected, I went out to all 49 jurisdictions trying to introduce myself, create relationships. I had a menu of opportunity of all the offerings that the county has by way of partnership to all the jurisdictions. I did that probably in about 4 or 6 months, something like that. So I decided to do it again starting January of this year. Took me 49 weeks this time, so a little bit longer, but I did make it around to all 49 jurisdictions. My last was in Whitewater Township, and so again, just trying to promote partnership between these jurisdictions and Hamilton County with all the things that we have to offer. So I am grateful to all those communities for being willing to allow me the opportunity to talk about the work of the county and some of the partnership opportunities by way of economic development or buying salt together or maintaining fire hydrants. So I just did want to announce that it was, for me, a big deal because now I'm not doing it anymore and I'll have my nights free. Yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun to go out to the communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to... You have something to say, Commissioner?
I just wanted to ask her a question.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask.
The Roots event, is that an annual event or they come?
As it was presented, it's a one-time.
Oh,
remember, Tall Stacks used to be a periodic event. It wasn't annual, but they did it every now and again. Okay. This is being presented as a one-time event.
Okay, thanks. That's all.
Okay, mine will be quick. First of all, I met with Alex Linzer of the Hamilton County Board of Elections. I want to give them a big shout out again. The votes were certified, so that our election votes were certified, and so they're finalized. I want to once again thank God. I want to thank the voters. The 218,338 voters that elected me and returned me here as your county commissioner. I want to thank you very, very much. Last week, I was out of town for National Collegiate Signing Day. My nephew, Jalen Reese, signed to go to LSU on a scholarship. Very proud of him and all of the young people that signed to go to college. And are able to go to college at no cost. So I want to thank, was happy to be with him, and he's one of the top guards in the nation, and looking forward to him playing his senior year and then on to LSU in Louisiana. So he's following his auntie. I went to college in Louisiana, and he's going into Louisiana. So very proud of him. In addition, met with a candidate for the 513 Relief Bus Coordinator position. I was very impressed. So I'm looking forward to hearing how that turns out. The last stop for the 513 Relief Bus in 2024 will be Saturday, November 23rd, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. At 3559 Reading Road in Avondale. And we will not be meeting next week. It is Thanksgiving, and wishing everybody a safe, wonderful, and fruitful Thanksgiving. Hope you eat a lot of food. So I wanted to just highlight those things. Lastly, we did have a speaker that talked about the Safety Regional Complex. I'll just ask Mr. Aludo if you will, somebody follow up, because I know we had.
Safety.
Yeah, somebody, follow up with the gentleman, because I know we had public hearings out in Colerain Township. He's already done it. Okay, you're already on top of it. Okay, so that's all I have. Mr. Ludo, any by leaves? Oh, we got some by leaves, sorry, that's not all I have. Okay, give me a second here.
So by leave.
Before we get to them, you go ahead with by leave 2, Vice President Driehaus.
Yeah, this is a resolution appointing Lila Foley as my Director of Public Affairs. So I'm hopeful that everyone will be supportive. We welcome Lila at our last meeting. So she's now gone through training. She's got the badge. She's official. So welcome again to the county, Lila. And I'm going to move that we approve of the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Driehaus?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Thank you. By leave 3, oh, no, I don't need any. Is any other appointments? No. Okay, Mr. Ludo.
Thank you, Commissioners. By leave 3 is a petition for annexation of territory from Sims Township to City of Loveland. This item is just to receive for the record and forward to the engineer.
Okay.
Recommend approval.
Recommend approval. I make a motion to approve by leave 3.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Driehaus?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Ludo, any other?
No other comments, Commissioners. I'm happy to go to the consent agenda if you are
Yes.
inclined.
Let's
Oh, I'm sorry.
by leave 6. Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Ludo.
John would be a little upset if I didn't approve the budget adjustment. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Commissioners. Yes, we do have one additional budget adjustment as by leave 6. This is budget adjustment number 44. This is a transfer within the Planning and Development Department, an appropriation within the Recorder's Office, an additional appropriation within contracts and subsidies. There is a economic development additional appropriation, $30,000 in municipal court, the clerk of courts, social services and justice programs, the public defender's office, probation, and the indigent care levy as well. So as we get into the close of the year, Commissioners, we are going to start to see likely many more by leaves just as we begin to wrap up the year. So this is the first of those. I'm happy to answer any questions on them.
Okay, I open it up, Vice President Driehaus. Any questions? Commissioner Dumas?
I had a question on the non-departmental transfer to 263. Is that equipment or something? What is that? The last one on the by leave.
Here, Commissioner, that's the last one.
The last one, non-departmentals.
Yeah, so this is actually a transfer of appropriations in an ARPA grant to pay for personnel within our ARPA grant. As we do have a portion of the ARPA funding that goes to employee compensation. This is a transfer to cover employee compensation under our ARPA grant.
Okay. So what departments are we talking about?
I believe
for employees.
I would have to find that out for you, Commissioner. I don't know if I have that in the actual detail here, but I can get that to you this afternoon.
Are you comfortable?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion to approve by leave 6.
Second.
By leave 5. Yes, 6. I'm sorry. 6.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Driehaus?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Luo?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Consent agenda.
We have the consent agenda. We've got several items on here. I'm going to rattle through this as quickly as I possibly can. I'm just playing with our signers back there who may go slow. So I'll go through as methodically as I can. Item number 4 on your agenda is the auditor's statement of transactions for October of 24. Item number 5 is a resolution authorizing the use of credit cards in the auditor's office at $60,000. Item number 6 is a resolution appointing a member to the Transportation Improvement District. This is John Brazina from the city of Cincinnati. Item 7 is a resolution reappointing members to the Transportation Improvement District. This is Henry Frondorf, Christine Coons, and Steve Sunderland. Item number 8 is a resolution appointing a member to the River City Facilities Governing Board, Leah Dennis Ellsworth. Item number 9 is a resolution reappointing a member to the County Law Library Resource Board, Alita Kameen. Item number 10 is a resolution appointing members to the Hamilton County Development Disability Services Board, Alan Abes, Stephen Jones, and Susan Kohler. Item number 11 is a resolution appointing members to the Hamilton County Tax Incentive Review Council and the Hamilton County CRA Housing Council. That is Tom Moeller, Jessica Johnson, and David Thompson. Item number 12 is a resolution reappointing members to the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority Board. That is Bernadette Watson and Mae Mitchell. Item 13 is a budget adjustment number 43 in the amount of $15.1 million. This is probate court, Veteran Services Commission for relief payments. This is the engineer's office for a to close a FEMA grant. This is probation for appropriating an additional additional grant funding. This is in our workers, an appropriation to our workers' comp reserve. This is Job and Family Services. This is a supplemental for Children's Services for compensation-related issues with the new contract, as well as the increase of children in care and the cost of the children in custody. And this is a transfer within DDS for operating expenses. Item 14 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Raftellus for stormwater services at $124,839. Item 15 is an item approving the contracts or recognizing the contracts authorized by the purchasing department for October at $431,699. Item 16 is the purchase of one Freightliner MT55 in EMA at $338,593. Item 17 is a resolution authorizing an F550 aerial unit as a replacement in the County Engineers Department at $210,682. Item 18 is a credit card resolution in facilities for $31,120. Item number 19 is the use of credit cards in facilities for $8,400. The latter item relates to fleet services. Item 20, we have several JFS items. Item 20 is a resolution approving an agreement with All For You 126 for group home services, $521,125. Item 21 is an agreement with Nella's Place for group home services, $915,000. Item 22 is an agreement with Choices or Children Have Options in Caring Environments for independent living services, $1.1 million. Item 23 is a renewal of an agreement with SJO Kids for independent living services at $1.4 million. Item 24 is a renewal of an agreement with Marie's House of Hope for group home services, $100,000. Item 25 is an agreement with NECO for independent living services at $100,000. Item 26 is a renewal with Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center for medical screening services at $181,369. Item 27 is a renewal with Place of Hope LLC for group home services, $383,000. Item 28 is an agreement with Gordrell Enterprises LLC for group home services, $766,500. Item 29 is an agreement with Cincinnati Children's Medical Center for safe sleep programming, $250,000. Item 30 is an agreement with Prestige Travel for travel arrangement services at $20,000. Item 31 is a resolution approving CDBG service agreement between the board and Housing Opportunities Made Equal for fair housing services at $75,000. Item 32 is a resolution adopting a modification to the fee schedule for IBI as was presented at prior public hearings. Item 33 is a reporting of no objection to 5 liquor permit applications by the Sheriff's Office. Item 34 is the monthly investment report for the Treasurer for October of 24, and that concludes your consent agenda, Commissioners.
Okay, I'll open it up, Vice President Dreehouse.
Thank you. I just have a couple of things. The first one is to thank all these individuals for being willing to serve on the numerous boards. These commitments are significant, especially on some of them that are really time consuming. So grateful that these individuals who are leaders in this community are willing to serve in this capacity. So big thanks to all of them. A question I have related to item 13. So this is the budget adjustment, number 43. And I know Michael is in the room. And Michael, I'm going to ask you a question about the Children's Services Levy portion of this. So it's the $15 million, and it's described as needed for employee compensation and the children in custody. So my question for you, as we have tried to deal with retaining employees in really important positions over at JFS in Children's Services, can you give us an update on how that is going related to some of the pay increases that we have done in the past? So that's one. And then my second question is related to the kids. So I'm wondering if if the expense or the increase is related to more kids in custody, or the kids in custody being, the services to them being more expensive. So those are my two questions.
Absolutely. So we do have some relatively good news recently on what I believe is associated with the pay increases that we just saw for our contract with the bargaining unit staff. We've got a lot of work happening in JFS and have a paid position that's really focused on that through our HR collaboration with HR. And so recently we just had about 18 people hired a couple weeks ago. And I asked a question about that hiring event of the folks who were organizing that. And we believe, at least anecdotally, that had to do with the new posting, with the new rates associated with the negotiation for those salaries for the frontline children's services casework position. So I think we've made some progress there. We continue to make progress there. We're going to think about other ways in 2025 to think about how we can incentivize recruitment and retention in different ways. So we're still working on some ideas for making sure that we can fill those vacancies. And then the second question had to do with the,
Can I ask you,
sure.
Do you know what the vacancy rate is right now, given those 18?
Given the 18, well, it's about 40% in children's services and ongoing, about 35 in assessments. I'll have to get the figures for the other areas, but that 18 would probably drop it some, but again, they haven't started yet. We hired them on the spot. They got to go through the hiring process, and our goal is obviously to have them fill those positions permanently.
Do you provide, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Sure.
Can you provide that in the future, like
Absolutely.
what the vacancy rates are in these different sectors?
Absolutely. I actually got it today, so I have some more information for you. I can share that with you. And the cost of care is going up. The acuity of the kids that we're seeing that come into custody is more expensive. We're seeing increases across the board for our foster care network providers and the care that they're giving for children. The increased costs associated with the needs that they have are going up significantly across the board. So we're noticing that, we're seeing that, and we're budgeting for that and anticipating that going forward as well. So the types of kids and the needs that they have are going up.
Is there also an increase in kids entering the system, or is?
There've been a slight increase over the last couple of years, but not significant. But there's a slight increase. We had about, I believe, 1,800 a couple of years ago. We're now above 2,000. So that number's going up slightly year to year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Dumas.
No comments, but I just want to thank our clerks of the board and how they bug us all the time about making sure that we look at the applications that are coming in so you can rectify and bring it forth. So I certainly appreciate that. So that's all I have.
Thank you to everyone signed up to be a part of our boards. Thank you for your commitment. I make a motion to approve and receive for the record 4 through 34.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?